Hello, everyone. My name is Lucas Bruder, co-founder and CEO at Jito Labs, also known as Buffalo on Twitter.
And I'm Zano, co-founder and CTO, Stackfault Doctor on Twitter.
We're here to talk about Jito StakeNet today. It's a novel, self-sustaining protocol for decentralized liquid staking tokens. Well, we've been spending the last few months building Jito Sol, contributing to it. And we've learned a lot and also learned some of the shortcomings with current liquid staking tokens on Solana. And been spending a lot of time on Jito StakeNet, and I think you guys will like it a lot. So yeah, I'll kind of dive into what is Jito Labs, what do we do? We started in mid-2021. We built the systems to enable efficient MEV extraction on Solana. MEV stands for maximum extractable value. It's the value that you can extract as a block producer or a validator on the network by reordering transactions. Solana, there's a lot of MEV on Solana, and one byproduct of that is a lot of spam from arbitrages, failed trades. So the effort of that was Jito Solana. It's a MEV-enabled fork of the Solana validator client. It's 99% Solana Labs code, and then there's some Jito code in there to process transaction bundles. Bundles are a useful primitive for traders and searchers on Solana. Also, some applications and wallets can use bundles to protect their users. As of today, it's currently running on 192 validators. It's roughly 40% of stake, and with the current Solana price, it's securing around $6 billion of Solana. And we're also contributors to Jito Network and Jito Sol.
Yeah, so let's talk about Jito Sol. Let's take a step back. What is liquid staking? Even a further step back, what is staking? Staking is essentially you lock up an asset, and by locking that asset up, you secure the network. The problem with that is you lose capital efficiency. Your asset's basically locked up, and you can't use it across DeFi. You're earning yield, but you're inefficient. So liquid staking tokens solve this. Jito Sol specifically solves this in a unique way. Jito Sol's seen tremendous growth. These numbers are actually, they keep changing on us, so this is about a week old. Jito Sol is at right under 5 million Sol TVL right now, which at today's prices is around $175 million. The growth is actually 200% over the past month, and approximately 30% of that is used across DeFi, which equates to $45 million roughly. Yeah, so like I mentioned, all stake pools, they make various trade-offs. There's this trade-off of decentralization and higher yield for users. Jito Sol tries to balance that by incentivizing decentralization, such as geographically, incentivizing validators to run the Jito Solana MEV client, and while also maintaining a high yield. The program that it uses is the Solana program library. This was written by Solana core engineers. It went through 7 audits by 5 companies. So it is bulletproof, it is non-custodial, and yeah, the validator set is very high performant, and it's going to continue to grow from 66, hopefully to 100 soon. Yeah, so here's some numbers. On the left, we have the total amount of Jito Sol used across DeFi. Today, that number is just north of 1 million, so roughly $35 to $40 million of Jito Sol is used across DeFi. On the right, we're showing all LSTs. So really the point of these graphs is we're seeing the numbers up and to the right, and that's a great thing. We believe that these numbers will continue to go up and to the right, especially considering how small the piece of the pie is right now. So this total staking market is around $14 billion. There's only 450 million of that in stake pools across all of Solana. So we're early. So yeah, there's this weird thing. We're saying stake pools are the future of DeFi, but staking tokens in their current form are not DeFi. That's very contradictory. So stake pools are run centrally. They're centrally operated right now by teams. And this leads to all sorts of issues. Let's dive into that.
We've been developing this thesis for a while that Solana liquid staking tokens are not DeFi. It sounds kind of weird. Unfortunately, that was confirmed recently with Lido sunsetting their staking product on Solana. For those that don't know Lido, they're currently #1 liquid staking protocol on Ethereum, doing really well. They've seen a lot of growth recently. They launched on Solana a few years ago. They were #2 liquid staking token on Solana. They had around $4 million of SOL this time last year. And basically in in September, there was a post where basically they decided to sunset the staking product on Solana. The development costs were too high. So it's in the process of sunsetting now. I think on November 17th, the validators will stop operating, so yield will go down. And then in the future, the only way that you can destake your ST Sol will be through the command line. And we think that this is a big issue. I think that DeFi should operate without these centralized parties, should be censorship resistant, transparent. This isn't unique to Lido. I think every stake pool on Solana has this issue today. So I think to kind of dive into this, how do stake pools work on Solana? How does Solana liquid staking tokens work? So Solana, as Donna mentioned, is delegated proof of stake. You can deposit your SOL into a stake account. You stake that stake account to a validator. Stake pools are kind of a layer on top of that. So you can deposit your SOL into the stake pool. It will delegate it to a stake account, and that goes on a validator. And yeah, there's typically an admin with the stake pool. And there's a lot of algorithmic stake pools on Solana. I use algorithmic in a good way, not a bad way, like algorithmic stablecoins and all that. But yeah, you can basically move stake around between validators. Every stake pool has kind of different criteria. Some are maximally decentralized. Some are 1 or 2 or 5 validators. So it kind of just depends. Typically, these admins, they use Solana RPCs, off-chain APIs. There's an off-chain database that will store the performance over time. The admin is running on a GCP server or something. It's a hot wallet. It can move stake around between validators in the network. Lido and Marinade they're custom. They're different programs, but similar idea behind these. And yeah, as I mentioned earlier, stake pools, they develop custom bots. This is actually a pretty difficult effort. It takes a lot of time. You have to have a lot of monitoring for it. If you're not monitoring it all the time and you miss the epoch rollover, then stake pool has a yield drag. It's really hard to figure out if you have a bad performing validator, do you destake them immediately? Do you kind of maybe it was just a fluke and you keep them staked? So there's a lot of difficulty in running that, and it's a single server that's running that.
Yeah, so you saw the admin box in Lucas's slide right there. So there's this other issue with stake pools. Basically, the admin, which is responsible for rebalancing stake across validators, adding validators to the pool, setting the commission fee, things like that. That is a hot key pair wallet right now, and that lives on some server, and you're relying on that team to have their OPSEC tight and not lose that key pair or have it leaked. So let's dive into an interesting attack that could happen. Let's say that admin key pair gets leaked. Something the malicious actor could do, they could move all that stake to their validator, and now you have a validator. Let's say that stake pool runs 20 to 30% of the network's SOL through the pool. Now you have a malicious actor that basically controls 30% of the network. They could do all sorts of things try to bring the network down, DOS the network. So not cool things. Another issue is you're really relying that the team is not in a unfavorable crypto jurisdiction. So you can imagine the team is in a in a country that doesn't like crypto too much. Well, now that country can basically force their hand and say, hey, let's censor these types of validators. Let's not allow these sorts of transactions to come through those validators, and that's a censorship vector right there. So we're talking about a lot of problems. Are there any solutions? We've been thinking about this problem a lot for the past year, and I think we've come up with a good solution.
So yeah, we're excited to talk about and announce Jito StakeNet. It's a self-sustaining and decentralized protocol for operating intelligent stake pools. And with StakeNet, Jito Sol becomes timeless. That means Jito Sol can live forever on Solana. We don't have any of these issues anymore. We think that this is a huge step forward in liquid staking, and this is like for liquid staking to truly scale. I think that StakeNet is the answer. So yeah, like why StakeNet? We talked a lot about this before. I think it's important to dive into. StakeNet's secure, so all the code will be open source. It's an open source validator set. It'll be transparent, so all of the logic for how the stake pool runs and delegates stake and removes stake from bad performing validators, moves them to good validators, that will all be open source on Solana. All the code will be in Anchor, it'll be Anchor verified, all that good stuff. It's decentralized, so there's going to be a network of keepers running it that I'll dive into in a little bit. Basically, these keepers can run anywhere in the world, and it's also intelligent. The entire stake pool, stake machine is running on-chain, and we think this is pretty cool. I don't think this has been done before, so we're excited to talk more about it. So yeah, what is StakeNet? It's a network of keepers and on-chain programs to transparently operate intelligent stake pools. There's a few pieces to it. There's a keeper network. These keepers operate, steward, and the validator history program. These are the two main programs. The validator history program, it's storing cryptographically verified validator performance of validators on Solana. I'll dive into that in a little bit. And then there's also a steward program. Steward program, it essentially operates the stake pool. That's where all the state machine logic lives. So these two things work hand in hand to run the stake pool. Custom scoring and delegation logic. The delegation logic will all be on chain. The parameters for the stake pool and how it operates will all be on chain as well. So you can actually transparently use governance to kind of adjust the parameters of the stake pool. And there's no staker funds at risk here. Stakers can't get rugged. So one of the first programs that I talked about is the validator history program. Here's some data. This is actually living on Solana right now, starting September 6th. And this is all 100% on-chain. It's all cryptographically verified. You can trust the data. It's pulling from vote accounts on Solana. It's the same accounts that Solana uses for consensus. So you can see some of the validators that we pulled here. There are different voting credits over the past few epochs. This data started on September 6th. There's enough space for around 3 years of data per validator. So we can actually start going way back and start, you can see if validators are performing commission rugs. You can see if downtime is happening. You can see that showing up. It's all on-chain. Typically, before this is in databases. So it's pretty cool. There's a lot of people. There's like non-stake pools that want to see this. And I think it'll also be cool because, you can, if you run a validator monitoring website or something, you can read this data on-chain and read the historical analysis of it. And there's no centralized database at all. And then, you can also see this validator version change. If you guys are validators or you've been following along with the network, you know that it recently upgraded from 1.14 to 1.16. So you can actually see that changing here. Some of the validators are already running it. Saw a validator that kind of Jito 1 that was running 1.16, went back to 1.14 for a little bit, went back to 1.16. And this is actually pulling data from Gossip. So Gossip, none of that data is on chain, but it's all signature verified. So we're using the built-in Solana signature verification pre-compile to upload that on chain in a trustless way. All of this will be open source as well. We look forward to more people contributing to this data. So StakeNet's intelligent. It's easy to audit. This is current state machine that we're working with right now. So essentially what will happen is every roughly 10 epochs, there will be a new validator set that gets computed. The current validator set will, the lower performing ones in the validator set, they will get kicked out. The new ones will get added, and so on. This is operated by the network of keepers. So anyone can call into this state machine and try to trigger states in it. And basically, it shouldn't allow any invalid states. It'll be easy to audit, taken a lot of time in developing the state machine. So that's easy to read, easy to test, easy to modify as well. And yeah, basically the whole goal of this is like if we want to run stake pools forever, they need to be able to handle validators coming in and out of the validator set, malicious validators, validator downtime, different versions of validators. Maybe you want stake pools to run variations of validator sets. Maybe you have version requirements on validators. All of this can live on chain, and I think it's pretty cool. And yeah, I think it's pretty customizable. So you can use a mixture of governance or algorithmic-based detection. You can also backtest data. So all this data will be on chain. So if you're interested in staking and you think that you can write a better staking algorithm than this, then you can use that data on chain and look at it and see. I'm pretty excited to see what community comes up with. So yeah, what are kind of the next steps here? So we're going to kick off security audits pretty soon here. Pretty excited to get that started and get those kicked off. Part of this program is running on mainnet right now. So the validator history program that I talked about earlier, that's running on mainnet. It's been running since September 6th. So there's currently almost 2 months of data on there. And then we want to get the steward program and the rest of the stake pool over on there. And then eventually transition Jito Sol to that pool so it can live forever. I think there's a lot of cool data that we can add to these programs too. Stuff like, the IP addresses will be on chain, so you can figure out validator's location. A lot of location databases use centralized APIs. Maybe there's a way to determine someone's location in like a decentralized manner. Skip rate, that will help a lot. Skip rate is the amount of blocks that validators are skipping. It's kind of an indication of how well they're performing. Timely vote credits will go in soon. This ensures that validators are voting on time. That will impact their score in the stake pool. There are some validators that are doing some things that aren't super beneficial, and we want to make sure that Jito Sol doesn't delegate to those people. We want to reward the validators that are actually doing good work. Another piece of this is like the economic analysis. So how do you make sure that things run forever? I think people need to be rewarded. If you're a Solana validator, you need to be rewarded for running a validator. And I think that if we want this to run forever, we need to figure out the economic incentive and how that works, and how the payout works as well. Also, at the beginning, this will be a V1, and we think that every stake pool will switch to using StakeNet in the future so that they can get access to like infinite LSTs. So we want to spend a lot of time working with other stake pools and projects to platformize the steward program, the state machine, and then the validator history as well. So yeah, we're excited to talk about StakeNet today. We hope that you guys are excited about this as we are. I think there's something cool about having liquid staking tokens that can live forever, and we're excited for Jito Sol to be the first liquid staking token to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.